exams related questions. Watch unique strategies to ace CAT, XAT, SNAP, IIFT, TISNET, CMAT and other important MBA entrance exams. Tips and tricks to boost score, subject-wise and chapter-wise sessions, previous year's questions, exam-related update and notifications, live exam analysis and actual questions discussion. So why wait? Subscribe to BYJU'S Exam Prep, CAT and MBA YouTube channel and press the bell icon to stay updated.
Hello everyone. How many of you have joined so far? Let me see. Good evening to all of you out there. Can you hear me? First of all, please tell me if you can hear me all right. Am I audible? Am I visible? Yes? Hi Dharmi, good evening. How are you doing? Good evening. Welcome to the class. Vivek Raj. Hi Vivek, how are you? Welcome to the class once again, dear. Good to see you people back. Now, how long has it been? I think we met last week. We are meeting once again, but this time we are meeting with a different session altogether, and we are going to be talking about reading comprehension and the importance of it, and all these we will talk about from the point of view of CAT 22. So we will try to decode CAT 22 for you. I am Pradip Sengupta, and welcome all of you to BYJU'S Exam Prep, India's premier online test prep platform. And we are going to start a wonderful journey, and we'll talk about why RCs are important. There are so many sections in the verbal ability, in the verbal ability, but why do we keep on talking about RCs only? Why do we keep talking about the importance of RCs and why comprehension is important? Yash, hi Yash, Vivek. Okay, so I am audible as well as visible. Good evening, Vivek. Good evening, Yash, Mayank. Good evening. All right. So I have a very important information for you. On the 22nd of May, we are going to start with the retaker strategy. So those who took CAT in 21, but somehow they missed by some marks or so. For them, we are starting a fresh batch. It is a great initiative taken by BYJU'S Exam Prep. It is the retaker strategy, and we are going to start the classes at 7 p.m. It will be taken up by our eminent faculty, so that this time we leave no stone unturned and we hit through the sky. All right. So remember the date, it's 22nd of May, and it is going to be an app session, right? It is not going to be a YT session. It is going to be an app session from the 22nd of May. So those who are interested, please come and talk to our faculty members and know the strategy towards CAT 22. All right. Tulshi, good evening, Tulshi. How are you doing? So why reading comprehension is important? Let us begin the session. So first of all, we'll talk about the different VARC section and what are the question types, and then we'll talk about the importance of RC. Now, if you look at, the atomic structure of the VARC section, at the nucleus of it, the nucleus happens to be reading comprehension. And then you have these three subsets of the VARC section. We talk about parajumbles, we talk about odd one out, and we talk about parasummary. So this is how normally the VS structure would look like, right? Now, it's been ages. CAT has stopped asking questions on grammar and critical reasoning, but we have to keep our fingers crossed. We do not know what CAT has in store in 2022. But by and large, if you look at the section, overall section, it is reading comprehension, right? All the way. It is going to be parajumbles, of course, and this is where we are going to score because it is, a theta-based section wherein you have to type in the answer and there is no negative marking. And then you have the odd one out sections, again sort of parajumble questions, but you have to put the sentences in order and then you have to figure out which sentence is going to be the odd one out that does not go with the feeling or the overall tone of the structure. Okay, and then you have the parasummary question. So this is it, and this is how the CAT VARC section will look like. So there is nothing very special about it. We have been witnessing this for the last so many years, and this is how we think it is going to be this year as well. Okay, but here it gets interesting. तुम अगर trend को देखो, right? When we start talking about CAT from 2019 to 2021, this is pretty interesting, and this is how the VARC section looks like. Now let's start with CAT 2019, right? 3 साल का अगर हम trend देखेंगे, so the prediction becomes all the more easier, right? So when we talk about 2019, right? 24 questions out of 34 was RC. Now here we are going to be talking about numbers, strictly in terms of numbers. Okay, all those who are in love with maths, who are number crunchers, you can very well see how the RC section sits in the VARC segment. Okay, 24 questions out of 34 was VARC, RC, reading comprehension. Coming to 2020, again you see out of 26 questions overall, 18 questions were on RCs only. And then again in 2021, out of 24 questions, because we just had 66 questions to negotiate with in 21. So 16 questions out of 24 was reading comprehension. Now if we translate this into percentage, 70.5%, that was the weightage of RC. 69.2%, that was the weightage of RC in 2020, and a colossal 66.66% in CAT 21. So if you see the overall weightage of RC, it is huge. Now here it becomes a no-nonsense game, right? So for those who think that reading is a burden, do we have an option over here? Do we have an option? We don't have an option. You have to start reading, and you have to start reading with some analysis going into it. We'll talk a lot about reading. We'll talk a lot about increasing the speed when you're reading, how to have, the proper analysis going through, and how to retain information in the mind. So it's reading, reading, reading all the way. And if you can crack this section, I think you are on some. Okay. So the numbers speak, the numbers don't lie, and here you are. You have deconstructed the VARC section right over here, and this has been the trend, and I don't think it will be any different this year. Okay, this is what we are going to be, seeing and witnessing this year also, right? Okay, I hope the things are clear to you so far. Now, when you talk about the type of RC passages that we witness, in CAT, right? It's all about variety. As they say, variety is the spice of life. And in CAT, when you talk about reading comprehension, RC, so RC talks a lot about variety. Okay. So, when we focus on one single type of writing that does not serve the purpose, we have to bring in variety. First and foremost, how to solve RCs? Bring in diversity in your reading. That is the most important thing. Please bring in diversity. And we are going to look at these passages. We will solve a few questions also, okay, towards the subsequently as we progress through the session. But let me tell you, it is important. Life talks about variety, right? You cannot have just one friend. You need so many people around you, and that's what life is all about. It's colorful. So RCs are also going to be colorful if we take it positively. Okay, RCs are going to be very colorful. So bring in variety in your reading. And why do I say variety? Because of this reason. Now, if you look at the diversified area that RC deals in, right? You have passages coming from so many different genres, right? Now, these are some of the genres from where CAT has been consistently taking passages and asking questions on it. All right. When we talk about art and literature, this is one area which becomes very important, right? Then you have topics based on philosophy and psychology. This is, a student's nightmare, I would say. Psychology passages, they find even, I also sometimes have to give it, a couple of readings to understand the essence of it. So all the passages based on philosophy and psychology must be dealt with carefully. So when you start reading, the things become easy. Topics based on business and economics. Now, this area particularly becomes a bit easier because it deals with facts and figures. Okay, so it's primarily based on information. So if you get the information right, you're going to get the answers. All right. Then you have topics based on current affairs, current topics, science and technology, and history. So what is important? It is important to add variety. It is important to add diversity to your reading so that any passage, any source, anything that you come across, you don't miss out. All right, you don't miss out. So, first step, start reading a lot. Start reading a lot. That is the most important thing in RC. Okay, talking about basics, yes, it might sound a bit cliched, but that's how it is. Start reading a lot. Bring variety to your reading. Start reading anything and everything that you can lay your hands on. Okay, bring variety. But hota kya hai ki when we actually stick to one, one field of reading, one genre of reading, so your mind, does not get that kind of variety. It is not exposed to that kind of variety, and it is important that you bring variety. And why variety is important? So that you can understand the different themes and logics which each and every passage sort of deals with. Okay, to understand the themes, to understand the logic behind, and then you should be able to draw inference from whatever you have read. That is the most important thing. Okay, that is the most important thing. Bring in variety. All right. Now, read a lot, bring variety, understand the theme, and then draw inferences. So, can we apply all these things? Can we apply these features when we solve RCs on real-time basis? So, let us see if we can solve a few questions, right? Now, let us look at a few questions that CAT has asked over a period of time, right? I am going to leave you with one passage. Okay, take your time, read the passage. Let me know if I can take you to the next slide. We will finish it off. It's a very small passage. Okay, and then we will try to encounter the question and solve it. Okay, read this passage and then let me know when you're done reading. Okay. Hi Nandini, good evening. Okay. Okay, let me take you to the next slide. Nandini has asked me a question. Sir, it is quite challenging to read the topic which are not interesting. I fully agree with you. Even I do not like to read anything which does not interest me. Okay, and let's take this passage for for instance. So I don't know how many of you would read this passage with interest, but this is going to be a wonderful example to understand what do you do when you find a passage least interesting. Let me answer that question in some time. All right, I believe you people have read the passage properly. Yes. Now, on a scale of 3, 1, 2, 3, LOD, if I talk strictly in terms of LOD, how would you like to rate this passage? What is the level of difficulty? Is it easy? Is it moderate? Is it difficult? According to you, what do you think? All right, let me take you to the main passage and then let's try and read the passage very slowly. I will read the passage for you and then I will take you to the question. The passage goes like this. Abiogenesis is, in its most general sense, the generation of life from living matter. All right. Today, the term is primarily used to refer to theories about the chemical origin of life, such as from a primordial sea. Earlier, the notions of abiogenesis, now more commonly known as spontaneous generation, held that living organisms are generated by decaying organic substances. Example, the mice spontaneously appeared in stored grain or maggots spontaneously appear in meat. That idea, which has long been known to be incorrect, will be called Aristotelian abiogenesis. According to Aristotle, it was readily observable truth that aphids arise from the dew which falls on plants. We are talking about, some kinds of insects. Fleas, again, insects from putrid matter. Putrid means rotten or decomposed. Mice from dirty hay, and so forth. Such was the prestige of ancient Greek philosophers in general and of Aristotle in particular that this was accepted without question until the 17th century. One of the first to question this was Sir Thomas Browne in his Pseudoxia Epidemica, subtitled Inquiries into Very Many Received Tenets and Commonly Presumed Truths of 1646, an attack on false beliefs and vulgar errors. Okay, tenets means beliefs. So we have a theory in place. Okay, we have a concept in place, abiogenesis. The passage talks about abiogenesis, how Aristotle and other philosophers looked at abiogenesis, and the way Sir Thomas Browne analyzes the entire theory. So this was the passage all about. All right. Now, if you look at the question, guys, right, the first kind of question which you should be very careful about is this one. All of the following can be inferred as describing Sir Thomas Browne's attitude towards ancient Greek knowledge, except. All can be the attitude of Sir Thomas Browne, except. That is the question. All right. Okay. Now, A says skeptical. doubting. B says questioning, same as skeptical. Irreverent, not respectful enough, when your attitude is not very respectful. Acquiescent, when you comply or when you agree to something under some kind of force. And disbelieving, when you don't believe in anything. So this was the passage. Now, if I can take you back to the passage, let's not answer the questions now. Most of you have answered, like Sai Pradeep says it is 2, Vivek says it is 2, all right. If I just look at the passage once, okay, and look at the parts which have been highlighted. The first part talks about abiogenesis. What is abiogenesis? The generation of life from non-living matter. And the term means abiogenesis is primarily used to refer to theories about chemical origin of life. And this is the example. The earlier notions means ideas. Now, if you talk about the earlier notions of abiogenesis, what was the notion? What were the earlier notions? The notions were that living organisms are generated by decaying organic substances. And this is what it forms the concept of abiogenesis. This is what it says. All right. Now, the same idea, the idea of abiogenesis, right, which has long been known to be incorrect, was known as Aristotelian abiogenesis. Now, according to this man, Aristotle, the great Greek philosopher, right, it was readily observable truths that aphids arise from the dews, which falls on plants, fleas from putrid matter, mice from dirty hay, and so forth. But what happened? This was Aristotelian view, right? But the author says it was incorrect. Now, but the people accepted the idea. Why? Such was the prestige of ancient Greek philosophers and of Aristotle in particular, that this was accepted without question. Why? Because they were respected, they were revered. But somebody questioned this theory. Until the 17th century, something happened. One of the first to question this, to doubt this, was this gentleman, Sir Thomas Browne. And he wrote a book, Pseudoxia Epidemica, subtitle Inquiries into Very Many Received Tenets as Commonly Presumed Truths. And this book by Thomas Browne was an attack on the false beliefs and vulgar errors. Yes? Now, if you look at the question, skeptical means doubtful, dubious, or questioning. Questioning has the same meaning. Irreverent means disrespectful or disparaging. Acquiescent means complying or agreeing to something, obliging. And disbelieving means doubting or discrediting. What was the question? Sir Thomas Browne's attitude towards Greek knowledge. Except, now if you look at Thomas Browne's attitude towards Greek knowledge, right, it was an attack. If it was an attack, that means Sir Thomas Browne was skeptical, yes or no? Yes. Was he questioning the theories? Yes. Was he irreverent and disrespectful? Of course, yes. Was he acquiescent? Was he trying to be pleasing? Was he trying to be obliging? No. Right? Was he disbelieving and discrediting? Of course, yes. So what is your answer? The answer should be the acquiescent, complying, obliging, and cooperative. So what becomes important? The important thing in solving RCs is to read the passage, read the question, and look at those parts which actually lead you to the correct option. All right. So in this case, D should have been the answer option. I hope you have followed how to solve a question based on, it was a very small passage, and these kinds of questions should be solved, on an everyday basis. Right? Can we do one more passage? This time we are going to solve a previous year CAT question. Okay? I leave you with this particular passage. Read it and then we are going to solve it together. Nandini, Vivek, Sai Pradeep, are you answering the question in the previous RC passage? Yes? Okay, let me take you to the next paragraph. This is the next slide for you guys. Yes, I know the chat is a bit slow, so we have to do a lot of catching up, right? I hope the explanation of the first RC passage is clear to all of you and why it should be the second one, the third one, and not the fourth one. All right, can I quickly take you to the next slide? I hope you have read this slide. Finish reading, all of you. All right. Now let me take you back to the first slide of the second passage and let's start the discussion. Now, what is this passage all about? This is about typewriters. And what does the passage tell us? It tells us about typewriters are the epitome of a technology that has been comprehensively rendered obsolete by the digital age. Okay? Epitome means the topmost part, the quintessential, feature of technology, epitome of technology that has been comprehensively, in a big way, rendered obsolete, rendered useless by digital age. Digital age has replaced typewriters. And here is the author's concern. The ink comes off the ribbon, they weigh a ton, and second thoughts are a disaster. Okay, and they are a disaster according to the author. So these are the minuses. Okay, we are not talking about the pluses, we are talking about the minuses. Okay, so information mil gaya. But here comes the transition. But इतनी problem है, लेकिन एक but आ गया. लेकिन but they are also personal. In spite of all these problems, they are personal, portable, movable from one place to another, and above all, private. Typewriters are private, okay? Type a document and lock it away. And more or less, the only way anyone else can get it if you give it to them. right? So this is one feature of the typewriter that puts it out of the clutter. That is why the Russians have decided to go back to typewriters in some government offices, and why in the US some departments have never abandoned them. Okay, in spite of the digital age and all that, we have not abandoned typewriters. Okay, easy enough to understand. There is nothing in this passage. Okay, yet it is not just their resistance to algorithms and secret surveillance that keeps typewriters' production lines well won, at least in business. The last British one closed a year ago. Nor is it only the nostalgic appeal of the metal body and the stout, well-defined keys that make them popular on eBay, right? You don't have to write an algorithm for a typewriter, right? There is no need to have a surveillance on it, right? Over here, in spite of all the challenges, you find typewriters to be a popular sell on eBay. Why is it so? Why is the typewriter so popular? A typewriter demands something particular. What does it demand? Attentiveness, being careful. By the time the paper is located, the ribbon tightened, the carriage returned, the spacing and the margin set, there's a big premium on hitting the right key. You can't afford to be careless. You have to be attentive when you are using a typewriter. All right, there is no delete button in a typewriter. So you've got to be careful. That means sorting out ideas, pulling together a kind of order and organizing details before actually striking off. There can be no thinking on screen with a typewriter. You cannot do this. The premium or the luxury that you can afford on a laptop or on a mobile, right? Nor are there any easy distractions. What kind of distractions? No online shopping, no urgent emails, no Twitter, no need even for electricity. Perfect for writing in a remote hideaway. The thinking process is accompanied by the encouraging clack of keys and the ratchet of the carriage return. Ping. Okay. Over here, the author has tried to create the sound that the typewriter produces. All right. So this is what a typewriter does, and the author, right, is in a perfect positive mood, and he has a very optimistic tone when he talks about the typewriter. All right. Now can we hit the questions? Let's look at the first question. The question says, which of the following best describes what the passage is trying to do? 1. It describes why people continue to use typewriters even in the digital age. 2. It argues that typewriters will continue to be used even though they are an obsolete technology. 3. It highlights the personal benefits of using typewriters. And 4. It shows that computers offer fewer options than typewriters. What do you think should be the answer? Sai Pradeep says, sir, it should be 3. Okay, thank you for keying in option 3, Pradeep. Nandini says 1. All right. Thank you, Nandini. Be very careful with your choices. It is going to test your understanding of the passage. And that is what CAT does. 1, 1, 1. All right. All right. Okay. So, now let's go back to the passage once. And pay attention to this part. what are typewriters? Epitome of a technology, right? In spite of all the negatives, come over here. They are also personal, portable, and above all private. Type a document, lock it away, and more or less the only way anyone else can get it is if you give it to them. All right. That is why the Russians have gone back to the typewriters, and in the US, some departments have never abandoned them. On this note, if we move ahead in the passage, can we very safely mark 1? It describes why people continue to use typewriters even in the digital age. Okay, because it begins with but. In spite of all the problems, we are still using typewriters. 2 says it argues that typewriters will continue. There is no argument. The author does not take a stand and defend it. There is no stand taken and there is no defense being produced on the stand by the author. The author goes pretty flatly and most encouragingly talking about computers. So T2 can be eliminated. Okay, it highlights the personal benefits of using a computer. There's nothing personal about it. It talks about the qualities of a typewriter. Okay, this is not which of the following best describes what the passage is trying to do. Passage is not trying to show the personal benefits of computers. This is not the theme of the passage. From this question, you have to find out what is the motive. Okay. 4 says it shows that computers offer fewer options. We are not actually putting or pitting typewriters against, we are not pitching typewriters against computers. So 1 gives you the best option. See, what was the topic today? The importance of comprehension. The CAT is very smartly trying to check your point of view and how do you analyze the passage. So each and every question becomes important. It is going to test your understanding, your logic, and common sense. Question 1 done. Can we move on to question 2 quickly? All right, let's look at question number 2, guys. Nandini, Tulsi, Vivek, great answers, man. Pradip, I hope you know why 3 should not be the answer, right? Let's look at question number 2. What does it tell us? It says, according to the passage, some governments still use typewriters because. Why do some governments use typewriters? 1, they do not want to abandon old technologies that may be useful in the future. 2, they want to ensure that typewriter production lines remain in business. 3, they like the nostalgic appeal of typewriter. 4, they can control who reads the document. Pradeep has gone up with option 4. Thank you, Pradeep. Yash Goenka says 3. Thank you, Yash. Nandini says 4. All right, Nandini. It is really getting interesting. Okay. Vivek says 4. Thank you, Vivek. Okay. Let's look at the question very carefully, right? Question 2, right, is going to check, it's a point of view question, okay? Whose point of view? Some governments, right? Why would some governments still use typewriters, right? Why? And how do you find out the reason? Go back to the passage and read the specific parts. Okay? Above all, private, right? They are personal, portable, and above all, private. Type a document, lock it away, and more or less the only way anyone else can get it if you give it to them. That is why, look at the reason coming through. That is why the Russians means the government, the US means the government. Are you not talking about the privacy element of the typewriter? Are you not talking about the privacy element of the typewriter? I would like to draw your attention to this part. That is why the Russians, right, comes the reason, because the question was because. So that is why the Russians, and that's why the answer is for. They can control who reads the document, right? Nandini, Vivek, Pradeep, okay, great job, great job. And this is what I was looking at. देखो सवाल ये नहीं है that why is one wrong, why is two wrong, right? This gives you an idea as to how do you think. What do you do with the information that you garner from the passage? What actually are you doing with the information? That is what you need to understand. Okay. Some governments, what do they do? Confidentiality quotient. This is the answer. They like the nostalgic appeal? No. They want to ensure that typewriter production line remain in business. Why at all? They do not want to abandon the old technologies. They may be useful in future. We don't depend on maybe when we are doing business. It is not the mark of a visionary. So one is gone. The best answer is 4. I'm not saying 1, 2 and 3 are wrong. I am more concerned about what should be the best answer. And the best answer is number 4. Right? Quite easily done. Yes? Okay. This was an easy question. Can we answer this one? The writer praises typewriters for all the following reasons except. Again an except question. See? So when you keep solving RC passages, you actually come across the questions which are going to become so predictable. And if you keep on solving them, half the battle is already won. Right? The writer praises typewriters for all the following reasons except. What is the reason? Vivek says 4. Nandini also says 4. Okay. Tulshi says 4. Thank you. Yash says 1. I would like you to pay attention on the question. It says the writer praises typewriters for all the reasons except one. There's one reason why he does not praise the typewriter. The others can be used, as praise sentences, and one can be used as a criticize sentence. You have to find out the option that criticizes, the computers according to the author. Which sentence do you think the author would choose to criticize the computers? Typewriters, I'm sorry. Yash has marked 1. Sai Pradeep has marked 4. Thank you. All right. Can we go back to the passage once? Srija has marked 2. Thank you, Srija. All right. Nor is it only the nostalgic appeal of the metal body and the stout, well-defined keys that make them popular on eBay. A typewriter demands attentiveness. There's a big premium on hitting the right key. And what is this premium? Okay, no thinking on screen with a typewriter, nor are they any easy distraction, no online shopping, urgent mails. The thinking process is accompanied by encouraging clank of keys and the ratchet of the carriage return ping, right? All these things and the others. Now, this is an inference question, okay? The answer is for except for the author would go with all these, okay? Unlike computers, they can only be used for typing. Yes, this is one reason why he praises computers. Two says typewriters, I'm sorry. Two says you cannot revise what you have typed on a typewriter, so you have to be attentive enough, right? Typewriters are noisier than computers, and this noise has been praised, right? Noise over here has been used quite positively. If you go back to the passage over here, the thinking process is accompanied by the encouraging clank of keys, okay? The sound or the noise is encouraging, okay? It adds to your attention. So you have to understand it. Since the sound is encouraging, right, this cannot be taken as a negative feature. So the only option that we're left with is for the author will definitely criticize typewriters being messier to use than computers, which he very rightly puts forward in the first part of the passage. All right. So the answer is 4, not 1, 2, and 3. I hope it is clear to you. Pradeep, wonderful answer. Srija, I hope you have understood why it should not be 2. Yash, understood. Tulsi has given the right answer. Vivek has given the right answer. So this is how RCs are going to be solved. In the subsequent classes, we are going to be discussing many more concepts on RCs. We will be talking about, like one of you questioned, sir, if the passage is not interesting, what to do? Look for the other passages which are interesting for you. If not, go back to the passage and make it interesting. All right. So this is what I wanted to discuss with you. This was our first session on the importance of RCs in CAT and how to score, how to look at the right, how to read the passage and bring home the right answer option. In the next classes, which are going to take place on app, we are going to discuss a few more inputs as far as RCs are concerned. And of course, we will be discussing many more facets of VARC section. All right. So that brings us to the end of today's session. Just for your information, CAT 22 batch has been rolled out, and this is what you're going to get. These are the key features of BYJU'S Exam Prep: 135 plus live sessions, 300 plus high definition recorded sessions, 70 plus mocks. I mean, that is pretty exhaustive. More than around 10,000 practice questions, 1,500 questions in class sheets, books and live sessions. So just in case you're thinking of enrolling for CAT 22, call on the given number or write into us. And just a reminder, retaker strategy, we are launching this app batch from the 22nd of this month. It should be an unmissable batch. And let me tell you, there will be a bombardment of enlightenment, right? And we are going to talk about how to score 99 percentile with ease. Yes, you heard me right, and you're reading it right, with ease, of course. We are starting on the 22nd of May 2022. We have 4 strategic sessions, okay? 2 exclusive sessions dedicated to VARC, right? 4 sessions, exhaustive sessions on DILR, and 5 mesmerizing sessions on quant, right? And we are going to connect at 7 p.m. every day. All right. Please like BYJU'S Exam Prep, like our channel, comment on the channel, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel. I hope you have enjoyed the session. Stay tuned for many more interesting sessions like these. Follow us on Insta, on YouTube. हम मिलते रहते हैं YouTube में, आगे भी मिलेंगे. I promise you that. On Facebook, follow us on Facebook, Telegram, and download the app. And please don't forget to ask questions. It is important to ask questions. A small pencil is much better than a big memory. Write down all the questions which you want to ask me, and I will be more than happy to answer all your queries. Okay, फिर से एक बार call on the given number, get your doubts clear and write it to us. All the best. See you on the other side of the story. This is Pradip sir signing off from BYJU'S Exam Prep. Good night all of you.